Hello and welcome to another episode of FE Explains. I'm Roshan Puvaya. First, my sincere condolences to the families of the Ahmedabad Air India tragedy. It is an irreparable loss for everyone. However, in the aftermath of that tragedy, while the investigation into the cause of the accident is still underway, and a lot of it is pure speculation, there has been a lot of debate about the safety of aircraft, and especially in the context of Boeing versus Airbus. Someone recently asked me which one is safer. They even sent a picture of Boeing's slogan, "If it's not Boeing, I'm not going," changing it to, "If it's Boeing, I'm not going." I don't blame them really, because recent times the company has not had a good track record. It's an understandable question to ask which aircraft manufacturer is statistically safer. Let's step back a little before comparing Boeing and Airbus specifically in India, and give you some context of the safest mode of transport. Statistically, it's still air travel. Why? When you consider the number of flights in service and the total fatal accident rate, it is minuscule, especially in India. Before the AI-171 crash in India, the last fatal air crash was on August 7, 2020, when an Air India Express flight that was repatriating people during the COVID pandemic skidded off the end of the tabletop runway in Kozhikode Airport in Kerala in bad weather. 21 out of 190 people on board lost their lives, including the two pilots. The plane was a Boeing 737-800, but the error was on the part of the captain trying to force land in bad weather. This was eerily similar to another crash, again involving an Air India Express flight in 2010 at the Mangalore airport. On May 22, 2010, Air India Express flight 812 from Dubai crashed after overshooting the tabletop runway, killing 158 of the 166 people on board. This also was a 737-800. Both these major accidents were down to pilot error. However, that doesn't bode well for Boeing in terms of statistics. Yes, Boeing was founded in 1916 and has been around for a very long time, practically developing the modern aircraft as we know it. Airbus, on the other hand, has been around since 1970, when aircraft were already pretty modern and safe. Has Airbus had any fatal crashes in India? Yes, it has. In 1992, Indian Airlines Flight 605, a brand new Airbus A320, crashed just before landing near Bengaluru Airport, killing 92 out of 146 people on board. This was again pilot error on a new type of aircraft. Coincidentally, on that flight as well, a survivor, N. Kumar, was in row 11 in 11C, not 11A, and managed to escape the aircraft through the emergency exit and assisted several others. All these accidents listed were due to pilot error, but Airbus has gotten lucky even with technical faults. Let me point out one more incident involving an Airbus aircraft which had a technical fault, yet made a safe belly landing near Tirupati, saving all 262 passengers on board. This was on 15th November 1993, and I personally knew the pilot, Captain R.P. Ballard. The Airbus A300 widebody took off from Madras to Hyderabad. There was bad weather, and Hyderabad, the captain had to do a go around. However, the flaps of the aircraft got stuck and could not be retracted. Captain Ballard tried to return to Madras, but due to the increased drag, the aircraft ran out of fuel, and he did a textbook belly landing in a dried lake bed near Tirupati. Another recent incident where Airbus got lucky involves an Indigo Airbus A321 caught in a hailstorm, and it landed in Srinagar with a broken nose cone. So statistically, if you look at the air accidents in India since 1970, Boeing has had 8 fatal crashes or total hull losses, while Airbus has had just 1. Globally too, Boeing has fared much worse. In fact, in 2018 and 2019, Boeing had 2 fatal air crashes involving Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. One was a Lion Air Flight 610, the other was Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which led to the grounding of the entire Boeing 737 MAX 8 fleet globally, including Indian operators like SpiceJet. This was because of a software called MCAS on board that malfunctioned, and pilots were unaware of the software and had not trained for such a situation. Boeing's woes don't end there. You remember astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, being stuck in space for nearly 9 months. They went up on a test flight of Boeing's Starliner, but that also developed technical issues. Now you must be wondering which airline uses what aircraft and how does that impact their safety record? Well, other than the Air India group, fortunately no other commercial airline in India has had fatal accidents. Air India and earlier Indian Airlines and Alliance Air have been large customers for Boeing aircraft in India as well as Airbus. They had Boeing 737, 747, 7777 and 787s, which tilt the statistics towards Boeing. SpiceJet also uses 737s, Jet Airways has a large fleet of 737s, Akasa Air use 737 MAX aircraft. Indigo and the erstwhile Vistara, on the other hand, have largely used Airbus A320 and 321 Neos. They all have clean records. Modern aircraft are incredibly complex, and because of which they are very safe. They can practically fly themselves with redundancies built into almost every system. Autopilot, auto land, backup warnings, multiple weather radars. It leaves very little room for pilot error anymore. So that's why, statistically, flying is still the safest mode of transport. Now, consider other modes of transport in India and you'll see why you'd prefer to be 35,000 feet in the air. Last year in India, 180,000 people were killed in road accidents. More than 50,000 were two-wheeler accidents, and of these, around 30,000 were two-wheeler riders not wearing helmets. This is followed by pedestrian deaths of around 40,000, and then passenger cars and cyclists, followed by bus accidents. And separately, even the toll on train accidents has been much higher. So while the investigation continues into the recent Air India crash, it's safe to say that flying is still the safest mode of transport. And India is modernizing rapidly, with Indigo, Air India, Akasa all having placed new orders for hundreds of new aircraft from both Airbus and Boeing. For more such news that you can use, please follow financialexpress.com and like, share and subscribe to the channel.